Chapter 1 of The Child's Book of the Seasons. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by David Wales. The Child's Book of the Seasons by Arthur Ransome. Chapter 1, Spring. Spring always seems to begin on the morning that the imp in a bright pink nightgown comes rushing into my room without knocking, and throws himself on my bed with a sprig of almond blossom in his hand. You see, the almond blossom grows just outside the imp's window, and the imp watches it very carefully. We are none of us allowed to see it until it is ready, and then, as soon as there is a sprig really out, he picks it and flies all around the house showing it to everybody. For the imp loves the spring, and we all know that those beautiful pink blossoms mean that spring is very near. "Spring!" shouts the imp, waving his almond blossom, and we begin to keep a little notebook, and write down in it, after the almond blossom day, all the other days of the really important things, the day when we first see the brimstone butterfly, big and pale and golden yellow, flitting along the hedgerows near the ground, and the day of picking the first primrose, and the finding of the first bird's nest. And then walks begin to be real fun. No dull jig-jog, just so many miles before going home to lunch, when all the time you would much rather have stayed at home altogether. The imp and the elf love spring walks, and are always running ahead, trying to see things. There are such a lot of things to see, and every one of them means that summer is a little nearer, and that is a jolly piece of news, is it not? The imp and the elf have a nurse to take them for walks, and a very nice old nurse she is, with lots of fairy tales. But somehow she is not much interested in flowers or birds or mice or even in the spring, so that very soon after the day of the apple blossom, those two children start coming to my door soon after breakfast. They knock both at once very quietly. I pretend not to hear. They knock again, and still I do not answer. Then they thunder on the door. Do you know how to thunder on a door? You do it by doubling up your fist and hitting hard with the podgy part that comes at the end where your thumb is not. You can make a tremendous noise that way, and then suddenly I jump up and roar out, "Who's there?" as if I were a terrible giant, and the imp and the elf come tumbling in, and stand in front of me and bow and say, "Oh, Mr. Ogre, we hope you are not very, really, truly busy, because we want you to come for a walk." And then we stick our things on, and away we go through the garden and into the fields, with our 3 pairs of eyes as wide open as they will go, so as not to miss anything. We watch the lark rise high off the plowed lands and sing up into the sky. He is a little speckled brown bird with a very conceited head, if only you can get near enough to see him. The imp says he ought not to be so proud just because he has a fine voice, and certainly if you watch the way he swings into the air with little leaps of flying, higher and higher and higher, you cannot help thinking that perhaps he does think a little too much of himself. He likes to climb higher than all the other birds, just as if he were a little choir boy perched up in the organ loft. He climbs up and up the sky till you can scarcely see him, but he takes care that you do not forget him even if he is so high as to be out of sight. He sings and sings and sings. The imp and the elf like to wait and watch him till he drops down again in long jumps, just as if he were that little choir boy coming down the stairs 10 steps at a time. "Now he's coming," says the imp, as he sees the lark poise for an instant. "Now he's coming," the elf cries as he drops a foot or 2, but we always think he is coming before he really is. As we go through fields we keep a good lookout for primroses and cowslips. The primroses come long before the cowslips. Cowslips really belong to the beginning of the summer, but early in the spring there are plenty of woods and banks we know, where we are sure of finding primroses with their narrow furry green leaves, and the pale yellow flowers on a long stalk sprouting out of the heart of the leaves. In the primrose wood, where we always go in the spring,
Sample complete. Ready to continue?